Hey guys, it's me, Dapper Paper Bag, and today I'm going to be doing something that ties in with my job as a video games journalist. And I'm actually going to be reviewing a game. I am going to be doing this quite frequently. I get approached by indie developers, publishers, and, people like that to review. And I'm going to be honest, even though they approach me, I only give what I think of the game. I do not accept any bribes or anything like that. So the first game that I'm actually going to be talking about is called Dungeon Souls. Now, Dungeon Souls is an indie RPG, action, roguelike, dungeon crawler. Kinda draws inspiration from Nuclear Throne, Risk of Rain, and Overture, if you've played those games. If you haven't, it's kind of a bit like Diablo 3, but with the graphics of Super Nintendo. That is pretty much how I can compare it. But yeah, I personally did enjoy it. I thought it was interesting to see what that kind of game looked like with 16-bit graphics. And I thought the sound design was really interesting as well. But we'll get more to the pros and cons of the review in a minute. So this game was actually developed by a developer called Mike Games, and I was contacted about this game, or I found out about this game I should say, through Black Shell Media. They do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games, and they deal with tons of different games, and you can go and check them out. They deal with games such as Century RPG and all that, and they're really good. They do pretty good indie games. So I would like to point out that this game, because it is an indie game, I'm not saying this to be mean to the indie developer. I'm saying this as constructive criticism on how they can improve either their next game or the current game as it is right now. So first of all, I'm going to start talking about the cons, or for the sake of this video, I'm going to call it the things that they can work on. So the first thing that I actually noticed was when you start playing with a controller, it's very difficult to control because there's no indication of what button does what, and it's just very, very difficult to, I guess, maneuver the character with the controller. And I think keyboard and mouse works better, in all honesty. Even then though, it still took me a while to figure out that I had to use W and S to move about within the menu, and I had to use spacebar to select an item within the menu, and that was just to get to the tutorial. Oh, and another thing, do not have your controller plugged in at the same time as you are using your keyboard and mouse, because it won't work. So I'm going to say this, although the sound design is very interesting, it does get quite annoying after a while. There was like bangs and explosions, which, I understand it was to do with the environmental impact on what the cannons, or whatever you want to call them, would have. But I felt like they could have been, they would have benefited from being a touch lower within the audio, just because it kind of overpowered everything else, and although that would be kind of realistic, it's very annoying after a while. And the same goes for the music. I actually had to turn the music off just because it annoyed the living daylights out of me. But when I was playing the game with like my music on, there was not a bit of bother. I actually enjoy it. But then again, that's how I play my games. I enjoy turning off the volume, which is really bad because it does take away from the experience, but it's just when I can't deal with tracks that sound very similar looping over and over and over and over. So something that I noticed with the controls was when you were using or upgrading your powers and, well, I should say attacks or abilities actually, and you're using your potions, I found it very frustrating that your potions were on the right side of the screen and you were using the keys 1, 2 and 3. And like you didn't have any key to like upgrade your abilities or anything. I feel like if you've ever played Diablo, this is like a perfect example of what a developer should do with potions and abilities. Is that your 3 abilities should be bounded to keys 1, 2, and 3, and your potions should be bounded to 4, 5, and 6. So although I understand that the game is supposed to have an arcade style, and I like that, I would still like a manual saving option, because there was a point of where I'd gotten on to like the second or third map with my archer and I died. And I was quite gutted because, you know, I then had to restart it, and I understand that that takes us back to the good old days where it wasn't so easy and you had to actually be good at games to complete them. But at the same time, if I can't get past certain points, or if I have to like keep going and going, it's going to get frustrated, and it's going to get frustrating, and other gamers are going to get frustrated, and because there will be a market, there is a market for this product, but there will also be a younger generation who aren't used to this kind of playstyle. Plus, I just think a manual saving option would just be so much better, because then you'd be able to jump into the game and, you know, continue what you were doing. Okay, so now that I've gotten all the negative stuff out of the way, I can now focus on the positives, and I can guarantee you that the positive list is much longer than the negative list. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the fact that I actually did like the art style of the game. It reminded me of when I used to play Super Nintendo with my gran, and you know, it just took me back to those days, and I just enjoyed it for the nostalgia reasons. And I thought the animations within the character were pretty smooth. I didn't see... Well, there was a couple of things where like I would shoot arrows through walls and it would kill enemies, but they couldn't shoot me through walls, so I'm not going to complain at that. So, yeah. I also like the fact that I could rebind my keys and stuff, which I did like, because there were some times where I'd be playing the game and I would hit C instead of hitting spacebar to pick up a product. Now if you hit C, that opens up your inventory, and I like the fact that they gave you an inventory. So kudos to you for doing that, because fucking even some of the AAA games don't even do that. So good on you for doing that. I'm a bit of a loot whore. I maybe shouldn't use the term whore, but you know, like I love picking up loot, and this game is just jam-packed with loot, and it was just heaven to me. And it just, again, like, I enjoy picking up loot, I enjoy picking up potions, you know, anything that I can pick up. I am a hoarder in these kind of games, so I will pick up everything and hoard it, and it was just so cool and just so much fun. So one of the cool things that I did enjoy about the game was the fact that there was tons of cool map designs, and there was tons of different traps. My personal favourite is the one of where there's one, it's like it's hidden under an object, and you go over to the object and you shoot the object, and this boulder out of nowhere comes and just squishes you. And that although it angered me at first, it was so clever and it was so well done, and I just thought, you know what, games don't do that kind of shit. They usually have some obvious clue that there's going to be a trap there. I mean, they do have some indication that there is going to be a trap, so there's usually like a little target on the floor, and you walk over it, you click, and then you walk away from the trap. Or actually, I walk away from the trap and then I click so that I'm out of the way. That some of the traps explode and everything. It's just really good. So one of the things I did find about the game, which is unlike games nowadays, was the fact that the enemies are actually challenging, which gives you hours and hours and hours of gameplay, and It was just one of those games where I could sit and relax and talk to my friends at the same time and just hack and slash at monsters for hours on end. So if you guys are curious about Dungeon Souls, don't forget to check the description for like links to all of the information that you're going to need. And if you've played it, or if you like the sound of it, or just want to talk about it, don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below. My name's Dapper Paper Bag, and until next time, tag tag!